My name's Chris.
And it's me, Kristie.
Oh, God, the Queen of Accenting strikes again. This is the Washing Up Podcast. It's Italian week.
Oh, Bella Vista.
Bella Vista.
It's a beautiful view.
A wonderful place in the middle of
Bella
Sydney.
Oreo.
La Dolce Vita don't get no sweeter. Obviously, it's Italian week this week, and what an interesting week it was in many ways.
It was indeed. We got biscotti, we got a tower defying the laws of gravity, we got amaretto, we got kirsch, that good old Italian drink.
Is this the way to amaretto? Anyway, so we're going to get into it now. We'll start off by getting into it, as we normally do. We're going to open up with the drinking game.
Why not?
Why not?
Because it was a few boozy bakes.
There were a few boozy bakes indeed. I believe that... so we've got a few things.
Okay.
Baker mentions a holiday in Italy. Well...
Larry, you let us down, dude.
Larry, we were right there waiting for it.
You know, we try to predict what's going on in these squares.
And we make a lot of bold predictions, and we get a lot right, by the way.
And like Mahathi... It's Italian week. What does she say? I lived in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know, it was so near.
You know,
a nonna reference. Speaking of close, Tanner, if I find out you have a nonna...
And you did not reference a nonna.
On second thoughts, I know where he's from.
He's from Calabria, dear.
Yeah, no, he's from Calabria.
Just be kind.
Nothing, Tanner.
Everything Tanner does is
Tanner
perfect.
was wonderful tonight, wasn't he? Tanner was perfect.
I just feel that, though, Tanner's tried to keep the fact that he's got Calabrian ancestry quiet because he doesn't want to have that kind of that, how can I put it, influence with just Bruno and Kylie going, of course, Tanner, yes, Tanner.
Yes.
You win, Tanner. Technical for you, Tanner.
However, now that we know this, obviously.
Yes.
Wonderful work tonight, Tanner.
Absolutely
wonderful work.
Perfect.
Anyway,
yeah.
One of the hosts speaks Italian. I did a count. I got lost at about 18.
There we go.
So we didn't even get into the credits and we already had that happening. The triple square shot was an Italian Eurovision reference. Now, the reason this was a triple square shot was it was a really big long shot.
I know, because we're kind of like, oh, maybe someone will mention Occidentalist Karma.
Look, I would have given you the shot if they'd said San Remo, okay? and by the way, there are a large percentage of the audience out there who are going, I don't know what you're talking about. Jay is losing his shit listening to this episode right now.
Yeah, I mean...
He is losing it.
If you're not Italian, you're at least going to vote for San Remo.
Exactly.
Oh, if you are Italian, you'll vote San Remo. Oh, anyway.
Booze in a bake. There was lots of booze in a bake, and therefore there should have been lots of booze in the listener.
All snacks of your choice.
Bruno mentions butter. Bruno didn't mention the butter this week. Everyone else mentioned the butter this week.
Yes, because there was lots of book folds and butter melting and butter freezing and buttering.
Alan removes his hat.
Yeah.
Once again, still not there.
No, but I did love the scooters at the beginning.
The scooters were amazing. We'll talk about the scooters in a minute. It's not quite Vespa quality.
No.
Mascarpone sighting. Boom, baby.
Yeah, technical mascarpone
right down the
cream.
middle of... You've never seen anyone jump at a technical more when they mentioned a mascarpone cream, and I was just about doing cartwheels.
Is it even Italian week if you haven't used mascarpone?
No, it can't be. Now, the last square on the drinking game.
It's like, it can't be champagne unless it's from the Champagne region. It can't be Italian week unless there's mascarpone.
Otherwise, it's just sparkling cheese. Anyway, the last square on the card. A square on this card appears on the official Great Canadian Baking Show bingo card.
Well, it did.
A couple of them did. Now, let's quickly have a chat, shall we? So first of all, I did notice that Alan reshared it and went, this could be like a drinking game, to which I responded to Alan with, it is this one. Now, we're happy for people to,
imitation is the highest form of flattery.
As I tweeted out today,
yes.
just from the account, I did tweet out, and what I tweeted out was this, and I'm going to look it up quickly so I can quote it directly. What I quoted was, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. We're feeling quite flattered. Not acknowledged, just flattered.
Yes.
Look, we love the idea of people doing all these sorts of things. Run, don't walk to them. We don't
exactly, the more the merrier.
Concepts.
There's several podcasts about the Great Canadian Baking Show. Is that a bad thing for us?
God, no.
Hell no, because the more content there is, the better. You know, Colin's on board now doing a YouTube series. Like
Instagram series, and watch it, by all means.
Just go watch it. Like, we're a fandom, and the more shit we can do together, the better. It just gets a bit disappointing, really, when something pops up that, you know, like we've been creating drinking game cards for quite a number of series, and we thought this year, you know what, Canadians earned it, let's do it.
Where it's been more of a concern is after we put ours up, there's a long gap, and then this drinking game card appears with things that are either exactly or very similar to what we wrote, almost word for word.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's quite clearly not something that was randomly plucked. Yeah, there were things. The other thing is too, there were things on their drinking game card today, on their bingo card today, where they clearly just watched the episode and just wrote down what happened in there. That's not the fun of it. The fun of it is guessing.
Like, when you're a fan, it's kind of like going, all right, like if you're a mad Harry Potter fan, right, and before you saw the last one, you'd be like, oh, maybe this happens. I mean, the books had come out. But you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get into it and you use your knowledge, and it's a really gratifying experience when we've kind of gone, mascarpone! Yeah, we knew that would happen.
Yeah.
It's affirming that we know and love. And then there's things that surprise you, you know, like doing the cream horns. Like
exactly. That was surprising.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what is it called? What's it going to be?
Yeah, what's it going to be? So look, we're not angry.
No.
Just a little disappointed.
It just sours. It just leaves a sour note.
Just send us a shout out, guys. Like, seriously.
I mean,
don't mind, but send us a shout out. That's all we ask for. Yeah. All right. So, to move away from this, because otherwise I'll rant for years.
And we need positivity in this world.
We want positivity.
People are in lockdown.
What are we, Kristie? What are we on this podcast?
We're sweetness and fucking light.
We're sweetness and fucking light. Yes. So, being sweetness and fucking light, let's get into it, shall we? So, the pre-credits joke was all about the scooters. Now, that links in beautifully for us, because one of the things that we do a lot of, obviously, is we do MasterChef Australia, and they've got a Vespa parked in the front yard.
They do, indeed.
And the Vespa is a permanent square on the drinking game.
And we feel it is also a foretelling Vespa. Like, if you get good Vespa coverage, you know it's going to be a good episode.
If the Vespa is missing, episode's going to be blunt, a bit shit.
Yeah.
So I loved the scooter reference, and I also loved the bit where Anne was like, "I've got shorter legs than you," and Ellen just goes, "Just think tall."
Now, I just have to say, imagine if Roman Holiday, instead of a Vespa, it's just Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant on scooters.
Oh, that would be awesome. Razor scooters.
Just razor
I've got the idea of like Cary Grant going up staircases and like down railings.
Audrey Hepburn, you know, doing an Ollie.
Popping an Ollie.
Popping an Ollie.
Audrey Hepburn popping an Ollie.
Just over the fountain, the Trevi fountain.
I guarantee you that is the phrase that has never been uttered. Audrey Hepburn popping an Ollie over the Trevi fountain. That might be the greatest image, and if we've got anyone out there who might do cartoons, feel free to draw one of those.
Just Cary Grant grinding on the Spanish steps.
I'm sorry, I'm still back at Catherine Hepburn popping an Ollie. Audrey Hepburn. Sorry.
I'd like it if Catherine Hepburn just came in for, like, you know,
with a copy of Me.
Yes.
The greatest autobiography ever. By the way, every year my brother and I buy joke presents. I think I'm up to 7 copies of Catherine Hepburn's Me.
If you find one in your local $2 shop or like a op shop, let Chris know.
I don't think there are any copies left on the planet. I've bought every copy and I gift it to him. Every couple of years, another Catherine Hepburn's Me. And not to be confused, of course, with Audrey Hepburn popping an Ollie. Anyway, the biscotti was the signature. Now, they showed the biscotti last week. Biscottis have been a really sort of good bake because they're tricky, because they're not completely solid, but they're not soft. So you've got that really tricky, crunchy but soft. It's an interesting mix.
And what I love about it being a signature bake is there's enough room to play in the flavours that you get, but there also has to be time management, and you need to be able to balance your flavours with presentation and also taste and not affecting texture.
Well, one of the things we've seen with biscotti, and one of the things, like, here's my thing with biscotti. I like a good biscotti. The problem is quite frequently you get the biscotti that you are going to snap your teeth on. And we saw a couple of those. Maggie, looking at you. We saw a couple of those in this episode, but that's where, like, I sometimes see, or you get the opposite. You get a very soft, cakey biscotti.
I will take a hard biscotti over a soft one. You know why? Because you can soak your hard biscotti in coffee.
You can dunk it, yeah.
You can dunk it. It's dunkable. Whereas the soft biscotti, There's no saving that. That's just a cake.
We're here for dunkable biscotti.
That's just an Italian friand. It's a friande.
Friande. Now,
This is my papa, friande.
somewhat foretelling in this episode, Maggie had a very close run thing this week. But the reason I think she had a close run thing this week is at the start she came very, very close to uttering, "This is my week." Right? Ooh. Her comment was, I'm disappointed I haven't been star baker. I hope this week is the week.
Hubris, Maggie.
So she got...
Careful, Icarus.
Careful, Icarus.
Actually, who was the Roman Icarus? Because Icarus is Greek.
Let's just go with Icarus. I'm sick with Icarus.
You know, we can't say Aphrodite here. It's Venus this
Icarus.
week. Icarus.
Icarus. Anyway, so Maggie...
Papa Friandi.
Maggie got very close to the sun on that one. And I think that was why that she was spared. She didn't quite get there. She got very close to the edge. And so the gods just wanted to warn her a little bit.
Yeah, like, come on, Maggie.
The Bake Off gods are like, enough's enough. You're very fine line here.
Because, we know that the Roman pantheon is very, like, and the Roman baking gods are just very, like, Ceres, she will, like, fucking shut down, like, growing.
Oh, the Roman gods don't fuck around.
No.
Right. This is the thing.
Jupiter is up there just like going, I'm going to throw a thunderbolt at that.
This is the thing. When people look at, like, the Greek gods or the Egyptian gods, right? No, the Roman gods don't fuck around.
You know who else? But the Aztec, like the Mayan and Aztec gods,
but they're on a whole other level.
Yeah, they were more hungry
for blood.
For blood.
Like, again, Teotihuacan ran with blood for 3 weeks at one point. Like, again, that's how you deal with the civilization's farming issues. Like, forget the idea of the Egyptians would go out and pray to one of my favourite name gods, Happy, the god of the Nile, and Happy would provide the inundation. Right?
Now I know what's happened. Okay, Peter Cundall has fallen through time back to ancient Aztec times, or was it Mayan okay, and he's fallen back through time. And they're going, Peter, how can we save our crops? He's gone blood and bone, and he got lost in the translation.
Okay, so to translate for our Canadian friends, Peter Cundall is the former host of Gardening Australia, one of Australia's most beloved gardening shows, and blood and bone is a very, very popular form of fertiliser. So Australians pissing themselves at that joke.
Yes.
So 2 dozen biscotti, 2 flavours, 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Yep.
Now, before we get into the actual baking, because it's not like we've delayed enough.
Yeah.
Can I just say 2 things? One, Anne's eye makeup in this episode.
Anne was just superb. Her boots, her eye makeup,
everything was on fire. And
her fluffy jumper.
Speaking, fluff the jumper.
Fluff the jumper.
And speaking of perfection, Kyla's hair.
Oh my gosh. Didn't she look like she's just stepped out of like a Lamborghini and she's got the big oversized glasses, like the Jackie O glasses on, and she's just being snapped for the cover of it, Vogue Italia?
No, I know where she came from.
Where?
She'd been riding a scooter and she just popped an Ollie on the Trevi. She popped an Ollie on the Trevi and came past and came into the... How did you not see that coming? There's a scooter on the pavilion steps and she's just going up and down. Anyway, so this is where we learned for the first time that Tanner has Italian ancestry. Now,
he doesn't mention Calabria
out, but may I just say, Tanner, this piece to camera was wonderful.
Yes.
It was thought-provoking, and I thought it was one of the best pieces to camera I've seen in the whole start of this episode. Don't you?
Absolutely,
magnificent.
Tanner.
Wonderful, Tanner.
Just perfect.
Absolutely amazing.
Perfeccione.
So Dom was going with the idea of booze, so she went with Kirsch,
That traditional German-Italian drink.
Look, well, hey, World War II happened, and it was fantastic.
She wanted to take a walk in a dark forest.
Walk in the dark forest. But technically she did, because there were cherries.
And chocolate.
There were several types of cherries, and Kirsch, obviously. You also had the peanut butter and chocolate.
Was it her who said that they wanted that's right, when Alan Shane was like, describing, he's going cherry on cherry and cherry action. And I'm like, please don't Google that, because it'll come up with a very different...
Yeah, you'll have something very different instead of what you think you're going to find.
Yeah.
Now, Mahaffey had all of the weird flavours. First of all, she was using candied ginger. Now, when they cut then over to the bench, and I've never seen anyone as excited as Alan when he pointed and went, "Is that dried sorrel?"
Yes.
And I thought for half a second that he was talking about someone called Sorrel. Just outside, and he's like, "Is that dried sorrel?" I'm like, "Well, that's a nasty nickname. Why is she called dried sorrel for?" I mean,
just, normal sorrel's fine.
if she's in the rain, does she become wet sorrel? I mean, it's just a good question you have to ask. Damp and moist sorrel. Anyway, so, but when they showed that, they also had a jar that was, I love their labels because they label everything really clearly, and it just said, Mahathi's Jerk Spice. And I'm just like, so we really are going Jamaican here. We're going to put jerk in these. And so she did. So she put the jerk spice with mango. So you had this dried sorrel candied ginger combination, and then you had jerk spice and mango. And I'm like, I want chicken.
Yeah.
There's going to be chicken here somewhere.
Can I just say the Jamaican boys, food truck is fucking amazing. If you ever get to Sydney and you can find them, I'm also going to add in Mama Joe's jerk spice. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, our friend Mama Joe. So anyway, now Tanner. Tanner announced that he was using the king of nuts, the Marcona almond, and let me just say, Tanner, excellent choice.
Hello.
Oh, you're Madge.
Hello everyone. Good evening. I've just popped in because I understand this is a bit of a Commonwealth event, and also I want to bring everyone's attention away from the whole Meghan and Harry and possibly Andrew situation.
Oh, okay, yes, your Madge.
So we were watching tonight with big delight. Oh, where was your friend? That lovely woman, Kristie.
I don't know, she was right here. I can't find her.
Beautiful, intelligent, and I have now written her down as next in line to the throne.
Oh, does she really want it, though?
I'm going to bequeath her several corgis on my death.
Of course, she'll love that. She loves the corgi. Anyway,
I didn't know that. Yes.
So you're Madge.
Yes.
You turned up, obviously, for Tanner and the King of Nuts.
Oh, of course, because us royals like to hang together. You see, I am the Queen of England. They are the King of Nuts. I've just come to say hello to my fellow. Sorry, that was a slip of the tongue because, I've been spending so much time in hospital.
Lots of comments about feral lately as well.
Yes. Just been in the hospital with Philip and stuff, and just so many feral people in there. It's a public hospital, you see. Sorry, my beautiful people. Yes, so I just popped in to say hello. They're Royal Nuts.
Royal Nuts, and also before you leave, Your Majesty,
like my great grandfather, Royal Nuts.
Yeah, Royal Nuts, George. and also there was cranberry and white chocolate. They're very regal style flavors.
Why, yes, my big royal cape, as I like to call it, a super queen. Is red and white, and I call it the cranberry and white chocolate cape. So
it's very royal.
Yes, it's mine and Anne's little joke together.
Oh, what a joke, Your Majesty!
Mummy!
I'm so pleased. Look, I hope you make an appearance again when we get to the Vergies at the end of the year, because, of course, last year at the Commonwealth Vergies, you visited wonderful Tuvalu to present.
I did.
And what a jet ski ride that was, too,
it was marvellous. I spent time at the Postage Stamp Museum.
Oh, it was amazing. I know.
One of my favourite places in the Commonwealth.
Thank you so much for coming, Your Majesty. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
I'll let Kristie know you came by again. She always seems to miss you.
Tell her 6 corgis on their way.
6 corgis.
Yes.
All right, no problems. Thank you, Your Majesty. Anyway, so we'll get back to
Your Majesty, you're out.
Bye. So anyway, Tanner was using the King of Nuts, which are Marcona. Oh, Kristie.
Hey, sorry.
Did you
had to go and
did you see
one of the what?
Her Madge.
What again?
Why do you miss her?
Oh my god. So what was she here for?
She was here about the King of Almonds.
Okay, did she mention anything? Because I have been writing to her about corgis quite frequently.
Something, but it might have slipped my mind. I'll think.
Okay.
Well, we'll listen back later.
Oh, one day she'll give me a corgi.
And let me just say, selecting the Marcona almond as the King of Nuts. Great choice, Tanner.
Yes.
Fantastic. Like, seriously, those flavours. I mean, Marcona almonds, cranberry, white chocolate. These are the greatest flavours ever put on a biscotti, and I don't think I'm saying that overboard.
No, I think you're next in line to the King of Nuts there.
Next in line of the King of Nuts is Tanner.
Yes.
Well, he did then get to talk dimensions. So Tanner said, and I'm just going to read exactly what Tanner said here. You can make your own mind up. He said, we're looking for a 12-inch long, 3-inch wide, 1-inch high log. Aren't we all, Tanner?
See, I believe that is what Tanner was cruising for when he found his partner. And I presume he found it because he seems like a very satisfied young man.
And you know what, Tanner? Excellent taste. Good choice.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Sheldon, summer camp. Let's move on. So he was doing s'mores. S'mores and granola were his two different options. One of those I was highly impressed with, and the other one was granola.
See, this is the thing that puzzles me. Okay, so granola is like trail mix and stuff, right?
Yes, was it crunchy granola? Sweet. Anyway.
So coming back from that, I'm just thinking about like the difference between school camps here in Australia and camps in America. So in camps in America, they're very famous for sloppy joes and stuff like that. In Australia, it's tray-sized lasagna.
Yep.
And what's it called? The little like hash browns done, and like really oily hash browns.
Very oily hash browns.
Very oily hash browns.
They were so oily, they might have been part of Mahathi Showstopper.
Yes, and breakfast choices, none of this granola and healthy shit. It was cornflakes.
Bacon.
Rice bubbles, sometimes rice bubbles with bacon.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We have very different styles of camp.
Occasionally pancakes.
Toast, which is usually really cold by the time you get it.
Yeah.
And butter pats that are very cold when you get them and you can't actually spread the butter on there. And usually Vegemite because we're Australian and we've got to meet cliches.
Unless you're lucky enough to go to one of those campsites that have the big toaster that you put it in the top. You drop it in the top and then it slowly cooks as it comes out.
Oh, the industrial kitchen ones?
Yeah, yes. and they're on a belt.
The conveyor belt.
The conveyor belt.
I would, whenever I got any one of those, I would do like 8 or 9 pieces of toast. I wouldn't eat them. I just wanted to put them through the conveyor belt.
Those and the camp dishwashers, like the massive dishwashers, they were my favourite things about camp.
Yeah, not any of the activities.
No, fuck.
The toaster and the dishwasher.
Fuck your hiking and fuck your abseiling. I am here for the toast and the dishwasher.
I did get lost orienteering in year 6. Anyway.
Of course you did.
Maggie. Now, Maggie went with chocolate pistachio and pecan praline. And at this point in time, Maggie, look, we love you, Maggie. We've made that perfectly plain.
Yep.
Convincing your children that dates are chocolate. That is an offence punishable by death. I mean,
that is only one level up from giving
carob.
Yes, I was going to say carob.
I knew where you were going.
Yes.
Like, look, in the pantheon of crimes against children, carob, date, like they're very much a 1A and 1B here. And look, I hope, and I worry I'm going to hear back from you, and you're going to go, well, actually, we do a lot of carob. Because I hope you don't. I really hope you don't.
Don't be the carob mum.
Don't be the carob and date bar mum. Like, that's a terrible idea.
You're popping your carob in your trail mix with Sheldon's. Oh, that's just wrong. But his s'mores were fantastic, I have to say.
Like, you made a pecan praline. Run with that. Run with that. That's fine. But
good instincts there. Dates.
No. Now,
poops galore.
Let me come back to Larry. Because Larry...
I mean, I'm just wild about him.
But like pistachio, mucklab.
Mucklab indeed.
So, which is apparently the pit of a mid-eastern cherry.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's when you're talking about the flavour of those pits of these cherries. And like, because Larry doesn't use normal things.
Look, the only thing I've seen stone fruit pits be used for is like making, what's that, schnapps? Like cherry, like peach pitch schnapps is good.
That now sounds like a really good flavour for a biscotti.
It's essentially like paint thinner. But it'll get you drunk quick.
That's what I want out of a biscotti. Get you drunk quick. Now, Rafakat went with a really cool ode to her mother and father.
So cute.
She made a lemon and cranberry one for her mother, and for her father it was chocolate. I like the idea of doing the split for both of them, and I also like the idea that if she underbaked one, that would show that she loved one parent more than the other. You know, they go, look, I really like that one, but I'm not too crash hot on that one. It's like, oh my God, she loves one more than the other. Then at this point we went over to them oven watching. So they all went into the oven.
Yeah.
And look, the highlight of the oven period was Mahathi, who gave us every 5-year-old ever.
Jumping
I just want them to be done so I can get them out of the oven and I can put them together and make them all pretty.
And just jumping from one foot to the other. Like, it was cartoon perfect.
So awesome.
She could have been a Nickelodeon character.
All I think of is Homer. Come on. Bouncing from foot to foot. And that was incredible. Now, Tanner then went through and started recounting.
Very skilled, very talented.
He went through and was recounting and realised he might have been one short. He goes, that's why we count. And Tanner, your sage-like wisdom in counting knows no bounds.
No.
And we say, congratulations on your amazing mathematics ability. I, for one, would not have been able to do that. And I know you two would have struggled.
No, I need Calabrian ancestry to really, have that wisdom passed down through me.
So thank you again, Tanner, for demonstrating counting, because now we can get to 12.
Yes.
I've been stuck on 11 for years. So
We're just a prime numbers guy.
We then had the presentations all set up. And look, most of the presentations were pretty straightforward. And then there's Sheldon, who has clearly been watching some MasterChef Australia.
He got the smoke gun out.
He got
a cloche.
There was a cloche. There was smoke guns. It was a welcome to the campsite. He lifted it up when he presented it to the judges. Sure, one lot of them was soggy, but that didn't matter.
He was a few twigs short of making it look like a real bonfire.
That would have been amazing. Imagine actually seeing a dessert presented like a real bonfire. That could have been incredible. Surely didn't see one on MasterChef Australia. Anyway.
Twice.
Yeah. So, Larry, they said it was a very clean bake. However, one of his two was slightly too thick, so it was a bit crumbly in the middle. But the flavours were good, which is what you'd kind of expect, to be honest. Rafficat, they said part decoration was very clever, because one of the things, and I actually always think this when you see biscotti completely covered in chocolate, how the hell am I supposed to pick that up?
Yeah, you need your handle. It's like a Cornish pasty with a great big,
Exactly, and Rafficat did the top bit and left a bit, one, to show off the quality of the bake, which was clever, and two, to give them something to pick it up with.
Absolutely, and then they can enjoy it and appreciate the limoncello flavour.
Well, that was the thing, as I said, it was supposed to be just lemon, but Bruno goes, it's very limoncello. I like the fact it's very limoncello.
You know what I love about limoncello is when you go to an Italian wedding and, you have to drink the limoncello.
Oh, you don't have an option.
It's rude if you don't.
Yeah.
I'm there for it. Any other digestives you want to throw at me,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
By all means. They said the balance was very good. They said Maggie's ones looked really good. They said the pecans were very nice on top as well. However, the chocolate ones were a bit too firm. And
they're coffee quality.
And this is also...
They're Dunkin' Biscotti.
They really are. But Dunkin' Biscotti sounds like an alias, by the way.
Hello, my name's Duncan Biscotti. I'm friends with Jocks on Frill because I'm Scottish and Italian.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
So the thing was with Maggie's ones that were chocolate, it kind of was a bit of a theme. Like Mahathi had the same problem later on, where they said if you're frying things, or in this case you put them in the oven obviously, but if you're doing things that are like a darker colour, it's hard to tell when they're actually baked or when they're done, because they don't turn dark.
No.
So it's really hard to pick up the difference, and that was the problem with the chocolate biscotti. Sheldon. Now, I loved Alan very quietly snuck in a reference of talk about a smoke show, which went right under the radar. It was very low, but I heard it, Alan. I heard you. Now, the problem was they said that the first one was more like trail mix than biscotti.
Yeah, it's more like a muesli bar. Or what do they call it? A granola bar.
Yeah, granola bar.
Yeah.
But the s'more had a really good crunch, and they loved the flavour, and they loved the idea of the meringue on top too. And they looked really good.
Yeah. I could use that as a pillow. Delicious pillow that would melt and stick to my face as I sleep.
Yes. So, Dom, they said they looked good on top, and again, like the cherry, because, she's very much the pink and that sort of colour is very much her. They said it looked good, but was very soft when they sort of crumbled them.
Yeah.
The flavour was good, but they were very soft. Tanner. They said that Tanners were amazing and the greatest thing they'd ever seen in their life. They said that Tanner is the greatest baker of all time, and that there were no horses that should be murdered in the spate of his baking. No, actually what they said was pretty close, though. They did say it looked like it was by an Italian baker. Well, it kind of was. The flavour balance was great and the texture is perfect. Tanner reminded me in this episode of, the sort of... Ever see any of those mob movies? There's that one child that's not really part of the mob scene and wants to just go and break out on their own and maybe be an actor.
Yes.
And Tanner was that kid.
He was. He's like, no, father, I've got no... esteemed
Yes.
ancestors. I've got no taste for the underworld. I want to shine in a bakery.
However, having said that, again, Tanner, glorious job, well done.
Glorious job.
That's more for Tanner's family than Tanner.
for Tanner.
Mahathi, they said good presentation, however, a little bit inconsistent and they put them together because they don't show you. And when they put them together, there were a couple that looked like biscotti and a couple that looked like the offcuts of someone who'd eaten part of a biscotti.
Oh.
You know when like that you see those like in a cafe where someone doesn't finish their food and so they send it back? It looked like someone had half eaten a biscotti and sent it back. So that was the problem. However, they said the flavours were really good, especially the mango jerk. As Bruno said, I wouldn't anticipate the idea of mango jerk being really good in a biscotti. There you go.
You think mango jerk on a chicken, maybe some fish, not so much biscotti, but here we are.
Then we get to the technical. So the technical, the first, I loved Alan's joke, and I really actually kind of wanted it to be real. The idea that the whole recipe was in Italian. Kind of was there for it.
And they had someone who could speak Italian, like read Italian, but they weren't allowed to speak it. They had to do interpretive dance, and that's how you got told the recipe.
I like the idea there's one phone with Google Translate on it, and you've got to share it around.
Except it's been run through every country whose borders are
around yes.
Italy.
Oh, that could be good. Now, Bruno's instructions were keep your cool. Which sort of made sense. Not really, but sort of made sense. Anyway.
Well, it did with the butter.
The Italian cream horn, I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I think it was, actually I will. It's Cannaccini, I believe. But
Cornicini?
Cannaccini. Oh, anyway, close enough.
Let's
France. So.
Not even the right country, Buchanan. God, we're so Australian.
Simpsons reference out there for anyone who gets it. Kuala Lumpur, France. So 12 Italian cream horns. 3 hours, 15 minutes.
It's a long bake.
Now,
and it's more, I think, for the proper puff pastry.
Now, to get into this...
Yeah.
I'm going to open up with a slight criticism. Okay. And we do... we haven't done it a lot, but we do criticise when it's warranted. For a challenge that was 3 hours 15.
Yeah.
This went by in about 3 minutes.
I just need to stop you there, though. Yes, it did go by in 3 minutes, but we always complain when there's too much rough puff. We're kind of like, oh, we want proper puff pastry. And we finally get proper puff pastry, but you need time for that. Is it good television? No. I
don't know. There's a lot more they could do.
Like what?
Well, for example, when British had these sorts of amounts of time, what would they usually do? They'd do a profile piece on the thing they're making.
Oh, so we should have... But it was COVID times, you can't
but you
send
don't
them
need
anywhere.
to send them there.
What, just...
Right? You could do a voiceover where they do like photos or stock footage or video or things like that. Or you could have spoken to like a baker in Canada who makes them, an Italian baker in Canada who makes them.
Or... We've got two people from Second City.
They can act it out.
They can just sketch this shit up.
So for future reference, if you're stuck for something to do, Alan, Anne, an improv history of the bake. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
The true or not history of the bake. Look, we've got an entire series or 3/4 of a series of Kiwi Bake Off if you want some ideas on how to improv that shit. So, mammoths. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, and it would have worked with the cream horn. Yes. Mammoths, cream horn. Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. Not a rough puff. I love that, by the way. When Kyla goes, "You're giving them a rough puff," and Bruno goes, "Of course I'm not giving them a rough puff. Why would I do that?" However, he did mention mascarpone. He did mention butter in this with the roll. So I'll give you the butter shot if you did it.
Yeah.
But the mascarpone was mentioned, and again, I just jumped off the lounge. Yeah. Now, I love that Anne said that Rough Puff was her nickname in a bad...
Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes.
Was Rough Puff was her in a bad mood.
There's a very out-of-date reference. Rough Puff her in a bad mood. I felt that, Anne.
Now... the dough of flour and ice water and watching them have to puff the dough and like watching them must puff the dough, and some people were more sort of hands-on than others who were like sort of like waving at it vaguely. Then they just cut to Larry's like sort of throwing it around, which led to the beating of the butter, which is not a euphemism. Now, what I enjoyed about this was Sheldon reads the recipe and goes, so you've now got to beat the butter up. picks up the rolling pin, looks around because no one else is doing it, just goes shrug, and hits his dough. And Mahaffey behind him thinks that someone's shooting. And the only thing I can think of is they all just learned that Tanner
He's a Calabrian.
was a Calabrian. And they were worried that someone was going... Not a Calabrian. We're just talking about maybe someone who doesn't like Calabrians.
A very passionate family member who just wants to see
from
Tanner
the
do
north.
really well.
No, someone from the north of Italy.
Yeah.
No one from Calabria. No one from the bit of the boot.
Someone near the Pyrenees.
I think we're okay, right?
Yeah, we're fine.
We're good? No
Yeah.
problems. Anyway.
Distant relation from Herculaneum.
Yeah, then we got Alan and Anne with the dance party.
Yes.
Is
there a beat? Is there a beat?
There wasn't quite, was the answer.
No, it was very polyrhythmic. Is that the word? Like when
You're
there's
the percussionist.
Yeah, it was very polyrhythmic.
Sound confident in your decisions.
It's polyrhythmic. And all the musicians out there going, for fuck's sake, Kristie.
She's making it up again.
She's just making it up like she usually does. Next year she'll be telling us about Frion di Papa.
Definitely. Anyway, the rolling and the folding happens, and I actually really... It's weird. It doesn't necessarily make...
Now I'm folding.
It doesn't necessarily make for great television in terms of like
but
intrigue.
Yeah.
But watching them fold puff pastry,
it's very satisfying.
I can watch puff pastry being folded forever.
Yeah.
It's so much...
A good book turn, really, it does it for me.
As someone who refuses point blank to make their own puff pastry, because I don't have that level of time ever. And I'm not prepared to put that much time into something that can go bad because my butter wasn't chilled. So I just buy it. But I've watched it. I've been told by several people, Robert, that I need to be making my own puff pastry. To that I say I'm supporting industry by buying it pre-rolled.
Would it be better if you melted like special green leaves into the butter? Because then it would definitely be chilled. And anyone who eats it would be chilled.
Special green leaves would definitely
and
be
would
chilled.
really not worry if it was puffy or not.
At that point,
They might be puffing other things.
At that point, Betty would buy some better butter. And the better butter would be better. Betty would, of course, be hoisted by her own butter. Anyway, so we got the roll, we got the fold, we got the roll, we got the fold.
And
then
chill?
we get the chill. And before they got the chill... because they had to then sort of get it all rolled out into the pipes, and that was tricky.
This is book turns and chill.
So it was book turn and chill, but then it was cut the slices, and again there were counting issues with people miscounting. Sheldon miscounted at one point and then had to redo it.
Yeah.
Then they had to roll them onto the cone shape, and you could see some people were far more comfortable and confident in this than others, who seemed to be bunching it all around the one end and it wasn't really going anywhere. And there are a lot of people who I think got halfway through this and went, that'll do.
I feel I've got the innate ability to do this because I don't know if you do it in America, but when you get the lolly wrappers or candy wrappers, we used to do the tear thing. It's a trick by teachers and Girl Guide leaders around to keep students entertained. You give them a minty or Fantail or whatever your equivalent candies are with a wrapper around it, and then you've got to peel it and try and make the longest wrapper snake. Yeah. And after I do that, then I try and wrap it around my finger. So I feel like I've got the innate ability for this.
See, I had a student who used to be able to then pull those wrappers apart with Easter egg shells and then make little cups.
What?
It was brilliant. It made me a couple of them. I've got to get some more of those actually. So that would be really good.
That's talent.
That was
what are they doing in school? That was
real talent. That should have gone on the road. Anyway, in the meantime, once they started chilling, they start making the mascarpone cream filling. Now, can I just say, pistachio paste, look, as a flavour profile, probably amazing. As a condiment, it looks... How do I want to... It looks like...
Okay, baby poo, and ladies and gentlemen, if you have a really weak stomach, pause now and fast forward for the next 10 seconds. When I was a nurse and I worked in neonatal, there was one adorable little baby we had there who unfortunately had an ileostomy. And this really reminded me of the stuff in the ileostomy that we had to clean out. And unlike colonoscopies, which are a bit lower, ileostomies are a bit higher. And
just before you finish the story, skip another 7 seconds.
Okay. It's this. indescribable. It took 3 of us nurses in rotation to change this. I'm choking as I'm
Anyway, that's how bad that story was. Christie's dying in the middle of it. Anyway, so while Kristie dies quietly...
Yes. Yeah, so that's what pistachio paste looks like to me.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue she's the expert in this. Then we got the cooking. And the cooking of these were really... Look, whenever you have to cook something like this, first of all, everyone's puffed, so that's fine. Yeah. But the trick with this was you had both... Sheldon managed an amazing thing at one point. He had both burnt and raw on the same shelf.
But that can't come down to Sheldon because that's not a choice. That's not something you go, look, if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to cook this evenly. That comes down to equipment.
But it goes back down to the ovens, and we've talked about the ovens a lot. Yeah. We see it again in the showstopper with Maggie's meringues.
Yeah, true.
Where she said, this oven.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about they are a different oven and they're a different creature to get used to. Now, a lot of them had burnt tops. Rafficat had some burnt tops on hers as well.
She quickly cut hers
Managed
off.
to get rid of a lot of that.
She did like when you overcook your toast.
And that was kind of it. Then they sort of dunked in the chocolate and then the pistachios, and they filled them with the cream, and we were done.
Put cherry on top.
Sheldon, they said
Gave them... Like, if you put the cherry on the other end...
no.
Like, that's when they become conical bras.
I mean, there was a joke at one point that Sheldon did make about...
to Madonna.
At the very start, Sheldon did make a joke about a long tube... A long horn filled with cream, and then they sort of cut very quickly before he could finish.
Between him and Tanner tonight, there was just lots and lots of little innuendos which were delightful.
They were wonderful, especially Tanner's.
Yes.
That man's a genius. Anyway, so Sheldon, consistent in shape. They said it was a bit thin, not very flaky, but really good flavour. Rafficat, unfortunately, her dough was still under in a lot of places. Mahathi, they said the colour was good, but again, consistency was her issue, and that was the problem with her biscotti as well.
Yeah.
They said they were very crispy, however, and the cream was very good. Tanner, they said, fantastic, wonderful, not a fault. They might have said a few were a bit smaller and they were slightly under. But all I heard was perfect. And we are good at interpreting the judges' comments. They can tell you. Dom, they said there were a few issues with over-whipped cream. They had...
Too much devoing, Dom.
But that's okay because she managed to distract from the cream. Because some of them were very short, some of them were burnt, some of them were under, and there was no lamination.
Look, but
beyond that,
fine.
Outstanding work. The cherry was stunning. Your cherry work, as I would expect from you, was out of this world amazing. Yes. Larry's were just consistent.
She did mention that if she was a fruit, she would be a cherry.
Oh, 100%. And look, she proved that, time and time again. Larry's were consistent, good cream, good lamination, but needed a bit more baking time.
Yes.
And Maggie's, the presentation was unusual, which is code for everybody else managed to style these, Maggie. You threw them on a plate. You can tell she cooked for a lot of children.
Yeah, she's like, it's served. What more do you want from me? I gave you birth. I keep you alive.
Everybody else is worrying about fancy presentation, and Maggie is like, they're on the tray, aren't they?
I just really feel I would be that over-dramatic mother. I feel this is why the universe hasn't blessed us with children, because I would just be there going, what more do you want from me? It's like, Mum, can you just help me?
I've watched you with the cats. I've watched you with the cats. What more do you want?
I have fed you twice because I'm a sucker.
We actually have a rule.
Have some treats.
We actually have a rule in this household.
Yes.
Where in this household, our rule is a very firm one. We have to walk past each other at dinner time and go, they've been fed, they're lying to you.
Yes.
Because they will do that.
They're as dramatic as their mother.
Yes, exactly.
When I've only been fed once, I'm like, oh my God.
Where's the rest of it?
My plate. It is 3/4 full. Look at this spot.
Where is this corner? Anyway, Dom was last, then Rafficat, Tanner, Maggie, Larry, Sheldon, and Mahathi was first in the technical. Now, that indicates the technical wasn't brilliant.
Look,
because Mahathi's were not by any means perfect.
No, and look, everyone had a flaw.
I don't mind these technicals, to be honest with you, because
I'm happy with it.
Like some of them had never heard of, like they hadn't heard of, and when they named it, we hadn't heard of them.
No.
And then they showed them and we went, oh, yeah, no, we know what they are.
Yeah, because usually they're called creamhorns. And also, this is a marathon. This is not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, make some...
For Italian week, maybe it should have been.
What were the stroopwafels? They're not stroopwafels. This is no 45-minute, in and fill them with caramel and out you go. This is, got to be there. You've got to, gently, wrap your pastry around the horn. Make sure it's affixed properly. Then, gently fill it with cream and make sure that the cherry's positioned correctly. It's just a very sensuous way to, like an Italian lover. You have to be like Fabio.
The most beautiful man in the etc. saying these things to you. Anyway, again, Canadians, you won't get that.
Don't they have Fabio?
Yeah, but they don't have Sean McAuliffe's impression of Fabio.
Okay. I'm like, surely he's on every Mills and Boone cover.
Yeah, but they don't have,
including Rafficat's upcoming.
But they don't. Yeah, but they don't have Sean McAuliffe's Fabio impression, which is where that's from.
Please
anyway,
put it up on the Washing Cup account.
I'll find it. So the showstopper was a tower from 3 types of Italian sweets. Mm-hmm. You had 4 hours to compile this.
Yeah.
Now I did like Kyla actually raised that she was worried about the idea of flavour and technique being pushed aside for construction purposes.
Yeah.
Which is quite often what happens. Somebody will build one of these constructions and they'll pick one thing that is just purely construction based.
Like a grissini or a...
Yeah, like something that's not going to have a lot of flavour but is going to be really rigid. We got some... Oh, God.
It's another thing Tanner could have said in terms of his...
He could have, 100%. Right, so Sheldon. Now, look, Sheldon kind of won his way through to our hearts in this episode by making sfogliatelli.
Oh, they call them lobster tails, but they're really sfogliatelli.
Now, here's the thing. Well, they called them sfogliatelli on the drawing, and then they called them lobster tails when they spoke about them, but they're sfogliatelli. So sfogliatelli, of course, is one of the more legendary bake-off bakes.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked a lot about sfogliatelli over the years because, of course, the proper sfogliatelli has lard.
Yes, it does. Now,
Pig lard.
I wonder if he went there because he did a lot of the...
No, you would have known.
Yeah?
Because remember, we spoke to Monica from Great Australian Bake Off about sfogliatelli, and she's like, they're wonderful to eat, but if you make them properly, you never want to eat them because all you can smell is hog fat.
Okay, all right.
And she said it's a terrible smell. He didn't use the hog fat. So they looked very fluffy and they looked very crispy.
Sheldon, can you please let us know if you used hog fat or not?
I don't think he did. Because, again, it would have stunk out the pavilion.
Oh, true.
And then
a slight rendering smell.
What's this rendering fat? We also had amaretti, and there were lots of amarettis. And almond brittle. Lots of brittles as well.
Yeah.
Different types
and
of almond
zeppoli.
Brittle. Now, I'm not going to use a lot of Italian words because I'm really bad at a lot of them. There are some I will, though. Well, I'll get to those in a minute. So Baku de Dama for Maggie, which is the chocolate hazelnut cookie.
Yep.
She also made rainbow cookies and cannoli, and then decided to go with espresso meringue because why the fuck not? The answer is burning. But
no, that's just a timing issue.
That was just unlucky.
She just looked away for a second.
She did. We didn't have that on the card this week. We should have.
Yeah.
Great Canadian Baking Show. Why didn't you tell us what we were supposed to have in our card this week? Can you message me next time and tell me? Anyway, Rafficat, spicy fudge. There was that really spicy fudge. Chocolate bombolini. Now, bombolini's appeared a lot. We'll get into these in a minute. And amaretti again.
Yes.
So bombolini is basically the little filled donuts.
Oh,
right.
Good shit.
And so we've got the zeppoli as well, which is the shoe roses filled with cream, and the shoe. They looked amazing as well.
Yeah.
A few people used those as well. We also then had Tanner. So Tanner,
amazing,
brilliant. His amaretti skewers, which were baked directly onto the dowel, amazing.
Look, Tanner,
enlightening, Tanner.
You need to come to the Royal Easter Show in April here in Australia and just sell them because everyone loves shit on a stick at the Royal Easter Show. It's like your
there's cheese on a stick.
Fairs,
there's
your state fairs, cheese on a stick, chips on a stick,
corn dogs as you would call them over there,
Pluto pups as we call them here.
Yep. So look, all these things on a stick, but obviously anything you cooked would have been amazing, Tanner. I mean, your fruitcake looked really cool.
Put that on a stick, sell it too.
The dough balls that you had.
Put those on a stick, sell them too.
But what we
Put the whole tower on a stick.
Here was the thing. Tanner's
giant rod. You can make it those dimensions that you mentioned. Just Model
12 by
your
3
nearest
by
and
1.
dearest.
12 by 3 by 1. Anyway.
And that is his partner's new nickname.
12 by 3 by 1. So, look, Tanner, all we can say is bravo. Well done, well done. Like,
Bellissimo.
Bellissimo, bellissimo. Don't kill me. So Dom was going with lemon bombolini and amaretti with strafoli, which are the honey dough balls. Now, Kyla wanted colour, which you look at and go, well, it's Dom. That's coming. Unfortunately, what Dom also did was entire cherries.
Which, you know, even on my mum's pineapple boats, she still only used half a cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it could hold a whole cherry.
however,
only
we
half.
did get some beautiful wisdom from Dom, who said, unironically, look at these little balls. How cute are they? Opening up a drawer and going, I have many more down here. Thanks, Dom.
It's kind of the antithesis to...
Dom decided to join in with...
Tanner's and Sheldon's like... little innuendos there.
Dom's like, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Now, Mahathi decided that she was going to have an ode to Italian Fashion Week by going with a skirt tower. And I loved Anne going, well, you know, if you need a model...
Yes.
You need a model, I can model.
See, what they could do is, you know, like when they do the perception kind of shots and just put Anne further in the background with just her head poking up over her.
That was an option you should have got there.
It's like, they need to make can we have a bake which is life-size paper doll Anne's? Like, you know, you just make outfits for Anne to wear.
I'm 100% with that. Get on that.
Yeah.
You can have that idea for free. That's one you can take. So sugar bodice, then a pistachio abaki, then the orange zeppoli dough, and then a fennel tirali. Right, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So,
and it all actually matched because the fennel pairs with the orange. It's just all these flavours that actually do go fairly well together.
then we cut to, well, what was originally the Fry Bros?
Tanner and Larry.
But then became
father and son.
But then became the story of father and son, with Tanner talking about what his father Larry had taught him, which was always make sure that your shoe is cooked right through.
I hope he made t-shirts, aprons, Fry Bros.
I'm quite sure that Larry has probably made him an apron and possibly a shed to put the apron in, and a car to drive home with all the stuff, and a home to put it in, probably all those sorts of things.
Yeah, cupboard to stack the fryer in. Accessories.
Larry came up with a really cool idea because he had the zeppoli and he had some grissini, but he also his idea of using the bread as the bench to put everything on, was very, as I said, you can see Larry goes back to his first love, construction. It got really interesting.
I hope he does that for Christmas. Like, imagine that, right? Instead of having a Christmas tree, you just have that tower. Like,
that could be fantastic.
Just you know, in Christmas and the little edible Christmas decorations.
You'd have to make a new one every time someone came over.
It's Larry.
He would.
As if he wouldn't. No. That one's for Auntie Cheryl. This one here is for Uncle Joe.
So, watching everybody pipe at this point in time became very hypnotic. But that was broken by Sheldon, because watching him construct what he referred to as tensigrity. Was it tensigrity? I've got that wrong.
Tensicity? Scrantonicity?
Yeah, it was integrity through tension. Tense-tegrity.
Tense-tegrity.
He said it better. I've just botched it. I don't really care. It was amazing is what it was.
I fucking loved it. It was like looking
tensegrity. Yeah. I had it right. Yeah.
It was like looking at one of those, who's that? Oh, God. Now I'm forgetting the name Escher. An Escher painting.
It was very Escher. I was wondering if you ran up one side of donuts when you come down the other side.
Yes.
It was very Escher. But that sort of then got punctured by Maggie with the meringues. And she burnt the meringues. But she was very clever. She picked the couple that were okay and then left the rest off. And when Kyla when Kyla got to the judging, Kyla was like, the smartest thing you did was edit.
And I think that's where the difference between herself and Dom happened.
Yes.
Is that Maggie edited.
Dom doesn't. Dom is Dom. And Dom is full Dom.
I wouldn't accept it that it was a Dom bake if it was edited.
No, and that's the thing. It was full. Look, if anyone ever went out completely on their terms,
Yeah.
it was Dominique. Because Dominique was full Dominique for the whole thing.
It was everything. And she is our cherry. She's our cherry on top, even if she came on the bottom. Oh, sorry, I'm just in Tanner and Sheldon space.
You really are, but every time Tanner picked up a structure, it moved.
Yes.
Which was really funny, watching him try to put his structures together. And every time he touched one, it moved. And may I just say, well done at the end for constructing it all and getting it to stand.
But also for making it look... Because when we saw it, it's just like this kind of alfoilish kind of thing. You're like, ugh. And then he made it look like it was a completely, like, just organic structure. Like there was...
That was Sheldon with the thing I was talking about, Tanner and his sticks.
Oh, sorry.
But no, Sheldon was brilliant, though, because what Sheldon managed to do by painting that with chocolate...
Yes.
And like the way he made it looked like it was a permanent fixture.
Yes.
Like it looked...
I'm sorry, Tanner and Sheldon. I'm having a night. It's been a day. It's only friggin' Monday.
No, that's okay because like we're praising both of them.
We are,
and we're praising Sheldon for his amazing building skills, and we're praising Tanner for self-preservation. So it's all good.
And he's also prepared if vampires come along.
100%. Anyway, so the judging. Bruno looked at Sheldon's and just said, "This is insane." Good sfogliatelli. The amaretti was awesome. The almonds had a very clean flavour as well. They said everything that Sheldon did was just bang on. Larry, they said the base of the dough was very clever and the zeppoli was beautiful, great balance, and they said we could definitely tell this is Larry, there's carpentry with food. Maggie, Kyla said that Maggie did the right thing, abandoning the meringues. The cannoli was excellent and the butcher were beautifully done. Tanner, it's stronger than it looks is what Kyla said, and also it was followed by it was fun.
Yes.
The flavour and the use of sprinkles was really good, and they said that the amaretti had great texture. What they then added was, thank you, Tanner, for really showing us what Italian Week was all about. We couldn't have done Italian Week without you, Tanner, and you and your family will live forever in the pages of history as one of the great bake-off families. And I feel like we can echo those sentiments. Tanner? Thank you for your work in Italian Week. You have truly brought a tear to the eye. And your selflessness in suggesting that you should not take the Star Baker as, a tribute, obviously, to your family and sort of standing on your own. That's the only reason, of course, why anyone else won Star Baker this week, because who could beat you, Tanner? Nobody can beat
you.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Except Sheldon.
Yeah,
we're good.
Send Tanner a message later and tell him the money doesn't need to be exchanged. We're good. Anyway, Mahathi. So Mahathi, they said, unfortunately, it needed a bit more scale. It was a bit smaller than expected. Now, the zeppoli were undercooked, and they said a bit waxy, and that was because they were dark, obviously, and so you can't really see the cook. They said that the flag was a step too far for Dom, and it was. Like, she put 2 Italian flags on the top of it, but it was Dom. It was pure Dominique. When she put the 2 flags on top, I just went, of course.
Look, I'm surprised they didn't have a couple of, Eurovision winners on top of it.
I'm surprised she wasn't ollieing it off the Trevi fountain. Anyway, the amaretti had too much cherry, and we weren't talking about the idea of, like, cherry flavouring. It was a very large cherry on top of every one of them. The bombolini also had too much oil. They've been sitting in the oil and not turned properly, so the oil had soaked into them. Rafficat, clean and neat. They said they were very homey and inviting yet elegant.
Absolutely. Like, just the way the 2 colours of the biscuits were. Like, I loved that. I thought it looked beautiful.
They said the donut was excellent, and the heat that she had in the cake thing was excellent as well.
Yeah.
And the amaretti as well. So, Sheldon wins Star Baker.
Yes.
And, of course, unfortunately, it's the end of the road for Dom.
It's arrivederci Dom.
Arrivederci Dom. Look, if there was a week that someone with a large personality was going home in...
Why not Italian?
Italian week just feels right. Oh, we're going to sing, are we?
Oh, I just thought, it's like the end of Don't Forget Your Toothbrush, so...
Very much so. And again, you won't get that reference either. But... yeah, so it's obviously sad to lose Dom. She's quite the personality in there, and there's a lot of personality there. But as she also said, she talked about the fact that they've become a very close-knit group of bakers, and everything we've heard is matching that, and everything we've seen is matching that. Yeah. So, like everyone who goes home, it's a sad moment. So, obviously, she's going to be missed. But It was also really cool to see Sheldon get his Star Baker moment. That was really awesome.
Yeah, and it came to mind because the first two bakes, it was a pretty, how can I put it, thin field in terms of there was no one completely outstanding. There was no one that was completely bombing it.
It's the first one so far this series. I couldn't pick Star Baker.
No, and so when I saw Sheldon's, I'm like, not only does that look spectacular, but everything on that tower is to die for.
It felt a little bit like, we talk about this a little bit, but it felt like one of those weeks where occasionally they'll dump, not dump completely, but they won't count things like the technical that heavily because nobody's done outstandingly well. They're all sort of a bit middling. Not in a bad way in terms of they can't bake. These things are really hard. So that's why they're there. So everyone sort of did a bit middling today in the technical. So they weighted it, but they didn't necessarily weight the top end as heavily.
And it's still necessary. You still need the technical.
You have to have all three.
Yeah.
We've seen what happens when you take a bake completely out. You get kiwi and it's terrible. So, obviously, really good to see Sheldon win Star Baker. Really sad, obviously, to see Dom go home.
Yeah, also very sad Tanner didn't get Star Baker.
Look, I said it was his selflessness in him offering to give it up.
He was Miss Congeniality of the night.
He was like Volare when it was in Eurovision. Second. Anyway, so that'll do you for this week. Next week...
Yes.
Botanicals Week. Ooh. They went the first ever Botanicals Week. What they should have said is the first ever Canadian Botanicals Week, because of course British Bake Off has done botanicals before. So it'll be really interesting to see what they make them make in Botanicals Week. Botanicals Week gives you a really wide amount of things you can cover. It should be interesting.
From flowers to cacti, from
there could be some interesting cacti recipes coming up here.
Herbs.
I'm not even bothering to explain that one.
Root veg. Imagine that. This is your root veg signature.
I like the idea of that. Okay, anyway, that's sort of where we're going to leave it for this week. Thank you, everyone, again for listening. Thank you for listening to all our interviews. If you haven't been going back...
Grazie, molto bene.
If you haven't been back and listened through the interviews, on the weekend, of course, we got to speak to Anjali. Which was an absolutely fantastic conversation.
Love her.
Night of $1,000. That's all I'm going to say. Go back and listen to the episode. Also, of course, previously we've got our chat that we had with Kyla the other day, which was a lot of fun.
Don't forget Bertie.
Also Bertie we've spoken to, and there might be a few others on the horizon. So keep listening out. Also, give us some suggestions as to what you want to see on the drinking game for future weeks as well. We're always happy to take suggestions, and we'll give you credit. So, until next episode, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Ciao, bellas.